Hello, everybody. Welcome to Lucky and Grandpa Brian talk about stuff. And Tarina's going to come in a few minutes. Doesn't matter if she doesn't come in half an hour. We're all good. Um, Most important thing, first thing I want to say is that if we say anything that's contradictive or anything you don't believe or you have anything to input, just put it in the chat. If you're watching this later, put it in the comments section. I'm always interested in hearing different points of view. This is all the show is about, basically expressing our points of view, having an open discussion, kind of philosophy, kind of religion, but mostly about just getting our ideas out there. And Alex, the ganja shaman, thank you so much for coming. Um, and so Griffin Brian, how was your week?
It was busy. It's always busy.
Yeah.
But I actually took off yesterday, came down here to the cabin because I had a lot to do. And at one time, because it was cold out, so I had a started the fire in the wood burner in the cabin. I had a fire going on down at the end of the field, and then I had another fire going on at the top of the hill by the gate.
Mm.
Just trying to get some brush piles, just springtime clean.
Yeah, that's the big thing coming. Things are snow's finally melting, and got to get things going. Oh, Scotty Boy, 69. Thank you so much for here, Scotty Boy. To Chloe Crystals, thank you so much for being here, Chloe. Welcome everyone. Let's see. It says I don't know how many people here. I can never read anything. I gotta look. Everyone who's here, thank you so much. If I catch you, thank you so much. Whew, yeah, spring cleaning. That's the big thing. I mean, where I hike, there's a tree down on one of the trails, and last time I reported to the Parks Commission, they go, "Oh no, we don't touch the trees. Where they fall." And I'm like, "This is on a trail. People can't get around it." And there's some elderly people, and they go, "Nope, we just leave them when they fall." And then within a week or two later, last year, the tree got cut up. This year, I'm not reporting it to see how long it takes for a tree goes away. And then after like another 2 weeks, if it goes 2 weeks, I'll report it and just say I've done it. But I can walk around it. It's not the problem. The problem is it's at a part where if an elderly person's walking this way, they have to stop and then go back the way they came, which is not a big deal. But again, it's just this is one of the easier trails, and now there's a big tree on it. But it's all cool. The city does what the city does, and all I can do is report it and hope for the best.
Yeah. Well, most likely, it could be a classified force, like we're a classified force. So, uh, when a tree falls, uh, I can only clean up so much of it
Yep,
because they want the rest of it out there for like amphibious life, your lizards and
yep.
all that to thrive. So, I can't go through and clean everything up. I have to leave a certain amount out in the woods
hmm
for promote life.
Which is what happened last time. They really literally cut because the tree last year it was like 4 or 5 trees down, and they cut a path so that um, they cut it so that the dead tree here, the same tree is cut, tree here, but the path is open. And I thought they would do it this year, but no. And I think it also might because there's also mountain bike group that goes through, and they're actually not that bad. You say, oh, mountain bikes, they're rude. Now they're actually pretty cool. But I think maybe mountain bikers have been doing it too because there's a few logs that have been on the trail, but they leave those, which I think when a mountain biker can go over and make it more exciting. But these trees, of course, they can't pass through. And if a mountain bike group's doing it, I'm not gonna. It's just good. It's cool with me. No problem. If the city's doing it, that would be nice. But I just want to see what happens because it doesn't bother me. And if again, it's likely if the old elderly people in the 70s have a problem with it, they'll report it anyway. So it's cool. But yeah, exactly. This is an old forest that they've been letting go for years. It used to be a sheep farm, because nothing grows there. It's not for. It used to be a quote a farm, but the farm was in the bottom of the hill, which is now a shopping center. The top of the hill, which is just rocky, and it's just like from the glaciers. It's just these boulders that are big as cars. Some are huge. Some are like 12, 14 feet tall, wide boulders that are around, which they call them glacial ascetics or whatever they call them. So people come to look at them. Some people come to climb them, but the other parts, the trails themselves, they're pretty easy trails. The worst part of the trails is arriving because that's the steepest part, but the rest of it is pretty flat. But it's a nice area to hike.
Right on.
Yeah. So and sometimes the deer will come. Once in a while I'll see the deer and I'm like, hey, cool. I'm not. I stop, let them know that I see them and they can see me, and I let them do whatever they need to do. So they don't think I'm sneaking up on them because I don't want to. Because usually it's like a 6 or 7 together, and I don't want to get run over by a deer.
Right.
I've come close once where I scared one, it ran by me, and then the others ran around me. I don't want that to happen again because they didn't hit me, of course, but again, it's enough to when these things are at your there's deers at your eye height and it's running by, and sometimes they have antlers, sometimes they don't. But again, don't want to scare the deer. Want to make sure that I'm not there to cause trouble. I've seen the coyotes. Don't want to scare them either. So it's pretty. Although the coyotes never get scared by me, the coyotes know about me before I know about them. I know that for sure, sure, because I've
Oh
seen
yeah.
one. I've seen one about 3 or 4 feet away, but just sitting in the bushes, waiting for me to walk past. And I'm like, do I say something? No, it thinks I don't see it. Let's go with that. And I just kept on walking like I didn't see it because it was sitting there in the bushes and I saw it. I'm like, oh shit, a coyote. But it's like standing still, probably thinking, oh, you don't see me, you don't see me. But it's cool. Okay, this week's topic: why is everything a pattern? Stepping outside. I think it was, yeah. I put, oh, Trina's here. Let's let Trina in first. Hello, Trina. Welcome.
Hello, how are you?
I have been really well. So how was your week been?
Good, just busy, working a lot. Busy, but good.
That's always good. Being busy kind of makes the days go faster.
Mm-hmm.
Yes. So I think, oh, Millie, thank you for being here, Millie.
Hi, Millie.
Um, Grandpa Brian's here again, Scotty boy. Thank you all so much for coming. So this week's topic: why is everything a pattern? Stepping outside the cycle. So Grandpa Brian, you brought this topic up. What do you think about it?
Uh, well, it got me thinking last week when we were talking about toxic people
Oh
and
boy.
how they keep coming in your life. Is there a pattern there? Then the more I thought about it, uh, cycles and patterns are basically the same thing. So,
Oh, I turned the
what
light off. Go ahead.
what if this computer simulation that we are living in is only programmed, has different programs to only go so far, and then they recycle? So, like, you have what people call the Pluto return, which happens every 84 years. Then you have basically, you got the moon cycle every, what, 28 or 29 and a half days. Then there's Saturn cycle that comes back into position when you were born every 27 to 29 years. And then you got the ages. We're in each age for 2,160 years. The Nibiru cycle, which is 3,500 years, and then you got a 12,500 year cycle, 25,000 year cycle. So I wonder if each one of them cycles is a different program. And once it reaches the end of that program, it resets and starts over again with the same program, and it runs through it again.
Oh.
So as it keeps going, see the pattern. And then, like I was telling Trina, like the pendulum. So in each pattern, you have an upswing and you also have a downswing. So, like, the upswing comes like this, and then it comes down, crosses over, like, say, Pluto's return starts here, 84-year cycle, and then comes back around and comes back up, 84-year cycle, makes the infinity sign. So you have the upswing and you have the downswing of each cycle, which I do believe now creates the infinity sign. It's not like this, it's like this.
Okay. Okay.
So now that keeps repeating. So now in each one of these patterns for to our lives, it creates patterns for us. That's why it allows, once you start like toxic people, it keeps bringing that pattern back to you, back to you, just like good people entered into your life. It keeps bringing that pattern back to you. So everything's, like I said, cycle, pattern, however you want to call it. I think it's all part of the program of the construct of this matrix. And I think the matrix was programmed to keep these patterns going every so often. Reset, 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 reset.
Interesting. So you think that we're in an eternal loop where everything keeps repeating for infinity?
Yeah, maybe it's a time loop for the universe to reset in the matrix. You know what I'm saying? And that's the only way that the universe can keep time is through these cycles or repeated patterns.
Interesting. So, but we're trying to get outside that because that's the 3D reality, right? So is it a 3D reality repeating over and over again?
I imagine it is.
But if we get outside that, we kind of mess up the pattern.
Right. What we're trying to do is maybe not so much get outside the pattern of the universe as it is get out of the pattern of the cycles in our life right now. Like the toxic people, the continue the work cycle, just anything that is a cycle that you see repeating continuously in your life, that I think is meant to happen as part of the construct of the control.
I see.
Mhm.
Because it's easier to control something if you keep repeating the same pattern, because people get used to that pattern. So if you start throwing different stuff in there, people aren't used to, you know what I'm saying? So that's why the pattern keeps repeating, because you're familiar with that pattern, and because you're familiar with it, you're basically oblivious to it and not realizing it's a pattern.
Yeah. That's a good one because people are comfortable with the same repetition. People do not like change.
Mm-hmm.
Ooh, that does go with it. So maybe we are in a cycle because that's what somehow it's been programmed into us to enjoy the repeat. And maybe, I mean, some of us don't like, we can't shake things up. I like chaos personally. I always try to cause chaos because it makes things more interesting and also helps you more creative and think things through. I can't handle the same repetition. I always find a way around it, and that drives my boss crazy. But when things are easy and calm and relaxing, that's when I try to find, wait, where can I find problems so that we can fix them now? Which my boss does. It's funny thing is when you find problems, people tend to want to blame you for those problems rather than, hey, wait, you found a problem. Let's kind of fix this. They're like, wait, well, how'd you find this or why'd you find this? And I'm like, it's there. It's been so easy that we miss it because we just kind of, tend to repetition. You tend to was it they call it tribal knowledge with they just kind
right. You're overlooking it because you're in that pattern and cycle of the comfortability.
So maybe some of us are programmed the opposite. So we're programmed to look for, get outside the pattern. Whew, that's interesting.
Mm-hmm.
What if you can't get out of the patterns because it frames reality? And those patterns are what literally hold your mental construct in a position to where you can decipher this reality. I wonder if that's part of it too.
I think that is a big thing because a lot of us are stuck in that. Because I do myself, I fall into that where the commute. We drive when we commute to work. We tend to do the same commute every time. Um, it's funny. A couple years ago, I used to take a different commute every day. It took a lot longer sometimes, but then I would do that. Now, the past 4 or 5 months, I've been doing the exact same commute every day. But yeah, maybe the comfort and maybe some of us get stuck in that, and it puts us into this thing that we need that comfort. It kind of puts it into, and without that, what do we have? That's interesting.
Hmm.
Right.
Maybe some of us, I mean, some people call them NPCs. Maybe those are just people who are stuck in a pattern. They're not NPCs. They're not soulless people, which here and there. But maybe they're just people who are stuck in the pattern, and they just that's how they exist, and they can't exist without it. That's
Hmm.
interesting.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, it's just like we can see the effects of a full moon on consciousness, and like the sign you were born under, how it influences who you are as a being. And that energy is specific in the wheel of time that we're experiencing. So it's like it comes down to what you're born into, your sign, and then all these planets and all these different evolutions of these planets are all in specific cycles, and all of those rotations interlocking with each other is creating this beautiful geometry. And that geometry is a vibrational base set. So I see how this is how everything is locking our full reality into existence, is from these patterns.
That is interesting. So it's maybe I'm speaking outside, but let me just continue with this. I thought if each of us with our pattern, it's like a crystal.
Yeah.
So each person is part of basically a facet of the crystal. So together we form this reality. This reality is like a giant crystal where all of our patterns come together, making our reality being a gem. It's like, but without it, it would shatter. Wow. Hmm.
Yeah. Without
So
that magnetic force
right,
holding everything together.
and that does go with more to the goes back to the media and the politics where they program us into creating that reality crystal that they want us to live in. And then people like us trying to get outside of it and try to, thwart their efforts. And they tend to double down, triple down. But I don't think there's anything they can do. I think there's going to be a new reality, and it's just becoming more obvious that more and more people are just like, no. Um, I mean, every time the government tries to hide something, there's another group who just like, no, no, we see it. You can't play games, and it's more. This is more evident now than ever, where people are catching on um, to the propaganda. That's a good word. The government and the media could produce propaganda, but with us on YouTube and Facebook, even Facebook and YouTube have broken down and they're trying to force the propaganda. They're not as they gave up that. Maybe I don't know, yeah. Maybe we're going to shatter reality to a new crystal of reality. That's interesting.
You
But
know
again,
what?
it's
I did see that, and they were telling me it was a diamond, and it was a diamond. And it was two different geometries coming into each other, and I kept seeing that visual for a few years. But Robert Edward Grant, he saw it too, but he could name the geometry,
oh,
name the isohedron going into the dodecahedron. Like, I could see it, but I couldn't put it into the language that he
mhm,
could, because he understood the geometry and how things have to collapse into each other and they have to function to be considered a new geometry. But yeah, he called it as, I can't remember what he named the new geometry, but I was seeing that it was called the diamond, the new diamond light. that we would be expressing. And yeah, it was the new light coming out of the patterns of these diamonds. We're going to be changing everything in our reality, because that diamond was the new base pattern geometry for, like, it was showing me the whole solar system.
Hmm.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Whew.
And there's a lot to that, Lucy in the sky with diamonds.
Hmm. Hmm.
Diamonds in the sky, stars in the sky, and diamonds, are intensely packed under pressure carbon, which we are carbon, and they all have different facets exposing different angles of the light. And the angles of light are the different messengers of God, creation. Light is information. So it's very interesting.
Yeah. Interesting. And I saw something passing that they froze light. They found a way of freezing light. It was instantaneous, but that's something that I didn't think was possible. So we're manifesting the impossible now, which is crazy.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Oh, wow. I mean, every time you think you understand this reality, something new comes along, which
But I,
breaks the pattern. Yeah. Hmm.
but I wonder if that's part of us breaking the amnesia.
I do believe that because
Yeah.
I do know that the toxic people I tend to the same theme. Although the toxic people leave my life, a new toxic person with the same attributes comes into my life, and I have to find a new way of dealing with that. But again, I used to get so frustrated with it. Now I'm like, but I played this game before. I know the rules. Rather than getting frustrated, I'm like, okay, yeah, this is cool. And it's more of a game rather than a frustration. It used to be, honestly, you know, 50 years of this, the same kind of toxic person, that same gaslighter game. But I know the rules now. I've known the rules for a while. And just because I know the rules, I don't have to let them know I know the rules. I can play their game back at them and then being naive and innocent to a gaslighter is a power of itself. When you pretend to be understand what they say, what they do, but again, the pattern comes up again, and that's what the universe does for us. That maybe rather than the repeating, which I find frustrating with the repeating patterns, maybe less of a frustration and more of a game that you've learned this. Now you're going to learn a new attribute of it. Now you got to learn a new way to deal with this repeating thing. Yeah, the affinity, constant. And there's a comfort in patterns. So I guess this is all interesting.
So what if we're here to start breaking the patterns of our lives
Hmm.
that we keep going through? And then once we're able to do that, we can start breaking the patterns down of this matrix. And if enough of us start joining in together to do this, then we can break this matrix down to where maybe the patterns will actually stop happening and maybe
Yes.
new programs will be written.
What if that's how it's done? Like, as you break the amnesia and you start remembering how to actually how to exist within these geometries of vibration, which are what create our patterns and what create the reality. What if the new geometry coming in is the representation of the consciousness evolving? And through that evolution, the vibration changes, which is like new snowflakes coming down in a snowstorm, setting new vibrational patterns onto the planet. But they're coming through us and through our remembering that we're more than third dimensional, that we're multidimensional. And with that, you're getting access to the new geometry of the higher dimensions and anchoring them into Earth, because the light comes through us and the comprehension of it. The light is going to penetrate the planet, but the comprehension of the information has to come through us.
Hmm. That is interesting. Hmm.
It kind of makes sense.
It yeah. And what if the universe needs to use us as the vehicle to experience it, and
Yes.
it's using us only because we know how to get outside it, and the universe in of itself has all the parts but doesn't know how to break the system that it wants to break and create a new one. But we have the creativity and the mindset to help break the pattern. So maybe we are the vehicle for the universe, and it needs all of us individually doing our own little part,
Yeah.
uh,
Yeah.
Hmm.
breaking through the system. Because together, individually, we can't do it, but together, we can break the patterns and create something better.
Hmm. I totally agree.
Yes, Scotty just said, I think the whole simulation is built on the plutonic solids. And that's what I'm seeing. And the higher you get in vibration, the plutonic solids are still there, but they have the ability to create a higher range of geometry. So the base is still the same, but the higher you go up, it's like water can have 5 different states. So you're traveling through these different levels of these elements, but they're transferring through the different vibrational dimensions that you're having the ability to access. And what if the ability for us to understand this, which most of the planet still doesn't understand, but a lot of them do, and more are every day. What if just that consciousness is like how, when you say something to the water, it shapes new geometry. So I wonder if we literally are the living water programming the matrix that we're existing in. And if we could snap into more of that power, we would see change come in a lot faster because we would be actually building the new lattice of geometry for the new vibration.
Hmm. Hmm.
Mm-hmm.
There's a lot to unpack with that.
Mm-hmm. When you look at patterns too, we can look at that famous phrase, watch your thoughts because they become words. Watch your words because they will become actions.
Hmm.
Watch your actions. They will become habits. Watch your habits. They will become character. Watch your character. It becomes your destiny.
Yeah, that is true. That is very true. And that's what
Yeah.
each individual needs to do.
Mm-hmm. Well, it's showing you how the patterns create your destiny. Literally, it starts with what you think, then what you speak, then
Hmm.
what you do, and then the patterns you establish through that, and then what you design and pick on as your patterns will become your destiny.
Hmm.
Mm-hmm.
Mm. And the destiny. Oof, our destiny. Who knows? Sometimes I think I know my destiny. Sometimes it gets changed, you know. But maybe that's part of it. A new
Right.
perspective.
Yeah, I was like, wonder if that's part of it though. Because we always have the ability to choose in a simulation of free will, apparently. And I wonder if that's one of the things too that we're needing to remember desperately right now is the power of choice and the power to stand in your own sovereignty and your own truth and your own consciousness and be true to that no matter what.
Hmm. Yeah.
So, do you think if we start changing our patterns and start changing the patterns of Earth and the universe and all that, do you think that changes our destiny?
I do. Because you're going to be accessing a different vibration than the one you're currently sitting in. Because as you grow, the vibration will increase. And we're noticing that right now with the Schumann resonance. Everything, the evidence is everywhere. So we're doing it. We're doing it. We really got to kick it up a notch though, because I think we have a chance to do some really amazing things. Mm.
I think it's more than that. I think we have a duty to do amazing things. I don't think
Hmm.
it's a chance. I think it's our job.
Yeah.
So I think we have to do it. I mean, it's part of the thing is that things are going to come to us and opportunities are going to be there, and it's the choice comes whether we want to seize our opportunity or let it go by and not take our destiny. I think it's our destiny. That's it. Rather than chance, I think it's our destiny to do amazing things. But that old pattern keeps falling back, and it's easy. That's the problem with patterns is we know it, and it's comfortable, and there's nothing to worry about. That's I wonder what. See, there's a group of people they call neurodivergent who, in
Yeah.
times of stress, are the ones that are most stable. Solution, get things done. They're relaxed, but in times of calm, relaxation, easiness, anxiety. It's just pure anxiety. And that is my problem. I can't stand when things are easy. And I always have to, and that's how I deal with my anxiety, is always looking, always thinking, always finding things to fix. Because if I don't have something to fix for some reason, that's when the anxiety starts. That is weird. So maybe we are
I wonder too if that's a pattern of slavery that we had installed.
hmm,
The worker bee, the hive mentality, you got to do something, you got to work, you got to do this, you got to do that. It's always keeping you in the hamster wheel.
hmm.
So I wonder if that's one of our primary patterns that we were installed with in this reality. Yeah, I wonder that a lot.
And that is even funny that if I'm sitting quietly at my desk at work, and if I run to a problem, I have trouble thinking through it. But if I take a walk, if I'm physically moving, my brain gets more creative.
You
That
want
is
to know?
weird. Yeah, go ahead.
I do the same thing, Lucky. And you know what I found out that was for me? That was when I started to have a deeper comprehension of how our body has its own like personality.
Hmm, hmm.
And your body is the running, do. That's your body. That is your programs in your muscle memory and how you think. That's your body memory. So for me, like when I was a kid, I would learn the best if I was watching a TV show. I had the radio playing my favorite rock and roll album on vinyl, and I talking to my friends on my bed, and we're all doing our homework, and I'd get mine done first. They're like, how can you focus with all this? I said, because it keeps my body busy. And as my body is processing the environment and what's going on in the environment, my creativity unlocks, my higher mind unlocks. So I wonder if that's about getting out of the way of our body.
That's probably what it is. I mean, honestly, I walking, I can have a full conversation, literally a group conversation with multiple points of view.
Me
But
too.
sitting in a desk, it's just my own thoughts, and I just can't get around it. That's interesting.
Me
But
too.
you're
Like when
right.
I drive in the car, when my body has to focus on driving, man, I get into some higher places in my mind. It is just absolutely amazing, but it's because I have to focus on driving. And I think there's something to that. And that to me was also my best way to connect with my higher self was in a trance working with a guide because I'm listening to them and I'm wanting to pay attention to them to stay in their guidance, but I'm off in my own creative pattern in my mind. And do you have the ability, Lucky, to be in three different consciousnesses at the same time?
Yeah.
Like being aware of your body, but being aware of your thoughts, and then being aware of yourself being into a totally different position in the dimensional existence all at the same time, and having an awareness of all three at the same time?
Yes,
I
usually
had a
it's
feeling you could do that.
active.
Yeah, I'm listening to you talk. I'm like, you do that too, huh?
It's honestly when things are much more like driving. I can leave. And another thing, my wife likes to drive with no radio when she drives, and that is far outside of any. I mean, I listen to podcasts of them talking about deep philosophical stuff or scientific stuff, just
Mhm.
mind-numbingly boring, which she finds. But while driving, that's going on, and I'm also having a full conversation in my head about something else, and I absorb all of it, and it's this, and
Yep.
then I also can go back in my history, deal with something in my past that comes up, which is again, while driving, I tend to go back in my past, the past traumas, and again, with that, I changed the story, I changed the script. But again, I'm driving now. I'm physically driving, listening to a podcast while going back on my past,
Yeah.
healing past trauma, all at the same time.
Yeah. See, that's part of when I realized me, myself, and I. There's me, myself, and I. There's three different things going on here all the time. you know? Like,
Yeah,
And it all,
I
yeah, go ahead.
I call that automatic driving. When you drive the same route every single time, it's like the physical body takes over with the driving, the mental leads. Because there's been times where I'm like, oh shit, I just
how'd
went
I
through a
get
little
here?
town. Did I slow down through that little town that's 30 miles an hour? I
Right.
know I did, but
Right.
still, my thought was somewhere else. But my physical body knew, okay, slow down. All right, speed back up.
You see, though, that's the beautiful trust we have in our body process. We can relax and let go because we know how competent our body is. We know it will do what it needs to do.
Mm-hmm.
And that to me is another amazing thing that how does it like do that? Your consciousness is somewhere else, but your body is driving down the road doing everything perfect, going through the speed things and slowing down and doing everything like perfectly. And your consciousness isn't even really in the vehicle. That's amazing to me.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, yesterday my wife wanted to go to. It's a little thrift shop. It's about 45 minutes away from our house, and of course there's two highways to go. And I looked on my GPS and it said, "Hey, traffic." So okay, no problem. So I went around some side roads and everything. And my wife's like, "How do you know where to go?" And I'm like, "Well," and I'm driving. Okay, I hiked here about 15 years ago. I remember this trail over there. I know if I go up here, but she goes, "How do you remember all this?" I'm like, "How do you not?" I mean, it's one of those things. And my wife has no inner voice, and that's when maybe 5 or 6 years ago I learned that people don't have an inner voice. Then I said to someone, "What? You only have one inner voice?" Because I have a whole, you know, chorus
Slew
of
of them.
voices. Yeah. And it's like
Mhm.
my wife having zero, other people having one, and I'm like, no, I don't have one. I have many, and they argue, and it's
Mhm.
how I get things done because how do you know this? Well, I've already had a full conversation. I know there's 5 different ways of seeing this, and I've seen all 5 ways in the past 3 4 minutes.
Interesting
Um,
too. 5 ways, the fingers on your hand.
oh yeah.
Who, what, when, where, why.
Oh, yeah.
Wow.
It's
Yep.
exactly what it is, and it's
Yep. And
literally
that's what those personalities are. Who, what, when, where, how,
and they and
or why.
exactly, and it's all at the same time, and that's when
Mhm.
which is why, unfortunately, about my job, I'm kind of stuck where I am, is because I fix things quickly, and and I'm kind of like you know irreplaceable, and that sucks. Everyone wants to be irreplaceable to keep your job, but again, it gets you stuck where you are.
Yeah.
Um, but yeah, it is helpful, but again, sometimes you got to think outside the box and find a different path. Realize after so many years, it's gonna be a thing.
So, do you think like school and our parents and everything taught us to think in patterns from a young age instead of it just naturally happened? Do you think we were taught to think in patterns?
Oh, definitely, school was very
100.
much on patterns, 100%. Uh, Honestly, my family were very hands off when it came to school. My parents never helped me with my homework, uh, I, but I did very well. That's the thing. They couldn't help because a lot of times I was always outside the box. I didn't learn like other kids. I learned my own way,
Me too.
and that frustrated some teachers
Yeah.
because um, I would be sitting there quietly, out of just gone. I'd be gone. Just like daydreaming is not good. I take no notes and everything. And then when it came to the actual test, I'm like, how'd you do this? And I'm like, it's all right there. I don't know.
I would do that too, Lucky. I got the same thing. I mean, the teachers, I'd be having conversations with people, getting in trouble for disrupting the class, and then they're like, fine, if you don't need to learn this, take the test right now. And I would pass it with flying colors. And they're like, how do you do that? I'm like, you think I'm not paying attention to you, but I'm watching every bit of it.
My
All of it.
favorite, my favorite was it algebra or calculus or something? When the part of it you had to show your work, and I would
Hmm.
come up with the answer and go, "Oh crap, I didn't show my work," and I had to go back and show the work of how I got the answer
I
because
would too.
I had everything was in my head, and I got the answer in my head. I'm like, "Oh no, I have to explain which each part of me was getting and how I got the answer, and hopefully can explain it the right way." Yeah, so the
And
teacher's
then I would try
satisfied.
to rush through it because it seemed so unnecessary to me. I would usually miss part of the problem because I would mess up on the showing the work part, but I'd always come up with the right answer. But
That was a problem.
I'd miss a pair of brackets or something like that because I would be going too fast. Yeah, that was a huge problem for me as well.
I got talked to a few times by teachers, and like, and I would, and I at one point it was I just the answers that come to me. I came to sometimes I think so fast that I forget to write down my mind as I'm writing, and that made the teachers much more satisfied. Then the answer is so obvious. Why can't why do I have to show all the details when I know what the answer is? But that's the funny
Yep.
thing about school. They like you to in the system. They want you to follow their system, whatever system and the system changes because they
Yeah.
want to make sure it's all compartmentalized so you fit in
You know
the.
what I just heard, Lucky?
No, I don't.
Our
Tell
government
me.
changed. You know how they changed the name of from the whatever to the Department of War or whatever?
Yes, yes.
Well, they just changed the education from the Department of Education to the Department of Labor.
Really?
Really? I just heard that. I was hoping it's not right, but it might be.
Yeah,
Yeah.
things are getting really weird because I did hear the president wanted his face on the money. Me and these tags again. Um, he wanted his face on the money, but the there's a law that you cannot have a living person on our money. So instead, he
Oh,
wants a signature. Yeah, you cannot. No American money can have a living person. They all have to be passed away before you can be put on the money. There's a
oh,
whole.
wow.
Yeah, I was reading into it because I was like, I always thought this, and I
I
want to make
wonder
sure.
if that's going to be the step to bring in the new money is when he is gone.
Well, no, it's the opposite. So rather his face, his signatures on it, which the president, it's usually the Department of Treasury, the Secretary of Treasury, his signatures on it. Now there'll be the Department of Signature, the Secretary of the Treasury, his signature, and then the president's also going to be on there, which is weird, but it means something's changing. See, the thing about our
Mhm.
lovely president, he might be doing the most crazy stuff, shaking things up, but I believe it's part of a bigger picture. I mean, in something like what President Trump's doing is like a tip of an iceberg. When something badass, crazy is going on, and whether good or bad, it's just going to shake things up. And honestly, no
What if
matter
it's
what it
like Back to the Future, you know?
really,
What if it is like that? And what if like he's a time traveler and he knew
uh,
and he's part of the whole program and we're getting ready to change time and remember one timeline, Biff was the ruler of the world and I wonder if we got a lot of that stuff going on for real.
timeline shifts. That's always a game. Whew.
Mhm.
And I've been in meditation, but we're talking about dealing with timeline shifts, and that's something that is so hard to explain
Well, and Brian was started out the show with the infinity sign, the analema. It's like our sun moves in the 8. The 8 is the infinity gate, and then he was seeing the analema, the infinity sign going up and down. That's the true symbol of the cross is the 88. It's 1 8 and the other 8 because you've got time moving in multiple directions.
Mm-hmm.
That makes a lot of sense.
Yeah, you've got more than one infinity loop going. You've got one that's running up and down and one that's going side to side, and they affect each other, and they're actually connected in the 0 point. So,
Oh, where they meet, oh, wow.
yeah, in the 0 point. Yeah. And that's where you get basically your power of magic when people invoke north, south, east, west. That's what they're doing. They're calling forth all the 8s, all the loops, meeting in the middle as a central point of it. Yeah.
Never thought of it like that.
It's a cross. And yeah. Yeah, north, south, east, west. And think about it too. That's the news, north, east, west, south, the news. And that's information. Information is light. Light turns into geometry, vibration, and basically code. And we're looking at all of this as code. I mean, people are seeing the code of our ether in the room through lasers. I mean, you're seeing code. And it's different code. It's not just zeros and ones.
Yeah, I think just realize this reality wants the zeros and ones, but then the other things that come in is what they don't want, and that's what's going to shake things up. I don't know, because they want everything to be this or that. They want everything to be duality. They want everything to be binary, whatever.
Yeah, divided and binary.
They want binary. Yes, what adorable little dog.
It's Chloe.
Is that a Yorkie or?
She's a Shorkie. She's a Yorkie Shih Tzu.
Perfect.
Yeah.
Perfect.
Yeah,
perfect.
she's such a good girl.
I think the dual combination of dogs is better than the purebreds, because what they've done to purebreds is just crazy.
I think that was one of our greatest errors, was that we thought the purity would be bringing forth the strength. And in actuality, it brought forth the most weakness, because mutts outlive every other dog. So it seems like the more blended you are, the more powerful you are. I wonder if that's why humans are so powerful. Oh, that's why. Because we're mutts.
Oh yeah.
And that would make us super diverse and super strong and expressing genetic expressions never seen before through the diversity of all of those inputs. Oh, wow. That makes a lot of sense.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, Wayne liked to say that we are no true humans, because we're hybrids. But
Well,
I think humans are hybrids.
I was going to say, what if that is the definition of a human, is all these different genetics and the hybridization of the man.
Right.
And then, but I heard too, the new name they have now for human is homogenesis something. I don't know, but it's no longer classified as Homo sapien.
Yeah, that makes sense.
Yeah.
I still don't understand where the Neanderthals went, because they were stronger and smarter than we were, but that's beside the point.
Lucky, I have a Neanderthal in my genes.
Well, that makes sense, because
so we're still here. My mom has a really high level of it. One of less than 0.5%. My mom has a lot of it, which they said that's really rare. It even came back on her little report that you have a lot of Neanderthal. And my dad has some too, but not as much as my mom.
See, that is interesting. I've never had
Mhm.
that checked.
I haven't either, but both my mom and my dad did,
Well,
and my
so
brother and my sister. So
well,
I
that's it.
know
You've
they're
already
all.
you've already been checked, because if your parents and your siblings have been checked, you've been checked, and that
I
your
pretty
genes are
much know kind of
yeah.
what's running where, but you know, it is different. Each one of the children pull different things on their things from the same mom and dad. It's very interesting. Yeah,
Oh,
and
really?
I can see that in them. Like my
Oh, wow.
nephew and my nieces, they're Italian and American, and I can see which kid pulled from like more of my mom and my dad, and which one pulled more from from the husband's grandparents. You can see it in the children, and it actually showed up on their genealogy, which ones were pulling more from the Italian and which ones were pulling more from the Scotland part. So it's very interesting, and they look like that. They literally expressed it with their genes, it's like really weird. But yeah, it's interesting.
That is very interesting. How genes work is very
Oh,
interesting.
very interesting. Yeah.
Oh, interesting.
Mm.
Yeah. Still, I Neanderthals. The more I learn about Neanderthals, the more I'm like, because we're always thinking Neanderthals as these primitive cavemen, oh, grunt, grunt. But what we learn about them is they were creative, they were articulate, they cared for each other. They had some that were like elderly that could not function in the mall, but they died like they've been taken care of for decades.
Yeah.
And there are people with like who were handicapped.
Mhm.
Neanderthals took care of handicap, which again, normally for most beings, that once you're handicapped, you're a burden to society. Goodbye. But the
Right.
Neanderthals, primitive cavemen, grunt Neanderthals, they took care of, their quote handicap. They're people who could not function, but they still made them part of society. That to me
Yeah,
is, I find them superior. I mean, that's the one thing
I do
we
too.
we always think about Neanderthals as primitive, and I never ever agreed with that ever. And it was one of the things.
I wonder too, sometimes I think because a lot of the lineage just seems, because like a lot of mine comes out of like Scotland and stuff. And I wonder if a lot of the Vikings were what happened to the Neanderthals. I wonder if that was the big mutation and it turned them into the Vikings.
That is interesting, because
Yeah,
that
because that's
does
what I
go.
see every time. It was like Neanderthals went more into the Viking genetics, but I have no evidence of that. It's just what my consciousness showed me. But it makes sense because the build and the way they were unstoppable and so loyal to their family and stuff. And that seemed to be a Neanderthal thing too. And Vikings, they didn't like structures. They like to be out in the nature and sleep under the stars, and they like to be buried and get burned and all that stuff. And the Neanderthals too, that was one of the most profound traits of Neanderthal is they would not sleep indoors.
Mhm, mhm.
Yep.
Interesting,
Yep.
interesting.
Only if they had to for weather, but no, they slept under the stars, connected to the earth. That was their thing. They didn't want houses. They didn't want that. Everything was natural. And you know what's weird? My whole life as a kid, all I wanted to do is build tree forts.
Mhm, mhm. Yeah, I used to get in trouble with that, being outside too long.
Yeah. Well, me too. I got my butt beat if I didn't get home before the street lights went on.
That's the problem with the lights. If the lights came on in the main house, you had to get home.
Yeah. Uh-huh.
But that thing, when it's pitch dark, when you're a kid, even though it's pitch dark for your poor parents, for me, I could see perfectly fine in the dark. And as long as there was enough sunlight, not sunlight, moonlight, or even sometimes even starlight would help if you get the right, a little bit of clouds, a little bit of light, you can see really well through the whatever. That was fun. But again, that now there's so much, with the light pollution. It's not
Mhm.
the same as it used to be. Interesting, interesting.
Yeah.
Whew.
Yeah, I guess we got a big meteor shower coming on. I think it's April. What was it, Brian? April 4th or the
Uh,
Lyrid meteor shower?
I think it was the 20th through the 22nd.
That could be right. There's something on the 4th too happening. April's a packed month with some very unique stuff going on. Lots of planets doing interesting things, and yeah, got a meteor shower. Just a lot of energy right now.
Scotty boy, why 555? Because in Thai, 5 is ha, and that's laughing into the Thai.
He is in California, which means his time would be 5:55 right
Oh,
now.
that makes sense.
Oh,
Okay,
that's
okay.
why. Okay, right on.
Unfortunately, having a family in multiple languages, I get confused sometimes. I mean, my wife, she listens to her TV, watches TV shows, and listens to music in Thai, and I catch some of it. And I do know that whenever I catch her writing something, it's when they laugh at each other, they put 555. LOL, they put 555, and it's like that's interesting. Um,
Huh.
Societies, different societies, and their ways of doing things, crazy, crazy, crazy.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, who knows?
It's also an angel number, master number.
Interesting.
So, do you think the most important pattern that we need to break is our thought pattern? To get out of that cycle of thinking the same way over and over again?
Yeah, is the definition of insanity. Yeah, I think that's exactly what's going on because when you can get control of your thoughts instead of letting the patterns control your thought, that's when you're actually driving and you're being a creative participant in your reality rather than being just a bypasser observer of your reality, because the patterns will do it all for you. They're so set, that you could just roll like you was saying, like no consciousness other than just, da da da, being around, doing your thing, no internal dialogue, no questions of who am I, where did I come from, what's the higher meaning of life. I don't think everybody is supposed to be on that path, and that's why that's okay. But many of us are here now because we don't ever stop asking those kind of questions. And I think that that's why we were chosen to be present at this specific time, because if there was any chance to break that, it would be from the ones of us like us that's like, why? How come? How come? Explain that to me. Okay, man, no, that make it make sense. We're just those people.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah, there's a lot of wait, why are we doing this way? This is how we've always done it, and it's that
That's
frustrates me,
stupid. It don't make sense. And we'll say something because we can't help it.
which I think is the chaos. I love, that's I said this so much. Why do you
Chaos,
want to do
Lucky,
chaos?
chaos or the tower moment where you can say this no longer works. Let's make it bigger, better, and stronger and build a new one. I wonder if that's what the whole, chaos will bring forth change, because you have to get some type of order out of that chaos. But boy, when you look at the chaos that's being created right now on this planet, a lot of people are going to get really hurt in it and lost in it.
Yeah, well, no, that's true. But
Yeah. Yeah.
That's the problem. And sometimes you need to let them cause a problem so we can fix it. Because honestly, no matter what happens, we needed a new government anyways. No matter what Trump does, the whole system was screwed up for the longest time anyway.
Trump made a cryptic little thing on his Truth Social the other day. I heard, I haven't seen it, but so it's just hearsay. But he mentioned that if the systems collapse, this will be your only chance to regain and establish a new government. And he said, I'm telling you right now, if things fall apart and the systems collapse, he says, you need to come together and restructure. He says, if you don't, you won't get another opportunity. This is your only chance. I was like, that is one crazy, powerful message. And I don't know how many people are ready for something like that, because where would you even begin?
You're right. But the
you know where I think the beginning has to be? We have to kind of look at the past. Unfortunately, I have a feeling that's kind of the way it goes. And we have to create a new, divine principles of well-being for humanity and all mankind species. So you
Mhm.
cover every kind of mutation and whatever they've done and whatever, cover the whole thing.
Mhm.
Find creative language for that. So we're not leaving anybody out. And have to establish, the new rules of the planet. And I would have people that would have to be consulting, first of all, the soul energy of the planet and ask her what she wants done and how that should start. So, like, I think that's the first step. And you know how everything is based on a trust because the monetary, I
Oh
think
yeah,
we have to create a new trust.
yeah. No, there's definitely yes.
Yeah,
Yeah, I mean, honestly, what does someone say when all these countries are in debt, but who are they in debt to?
correct.
And that's the question: is the countries aren't in debt as much as there are people in power who are not. You don't see them. They're the worst. No matter what happens, no matter how
And
bad
they're
someone is.
they're siphoning the money and the
Right,
energy out of the humanity
right.
because they have to send it somewhere else.
Oh, yeah.
So, this is bigger than just Earth.
Mm,
So with that, when you can stop the feeding and the energy and switch the energy over from, entropy into life giving, the battery pack on the whole universe would be operating in a different way. So, and I really do think that could happen. Yeah.
mm. Interesting.
Well, because apparently soul, it can never be drained. It's a constant regenerating source vehicle connected to source, and it never needs to be recharged. This system is feeding off of our energy, and that's because it has beings in it that is the only way they can survive because their construct was created through entropy and needing to feed. And we do feed. Don't get me wrong, we do feed, but I really do think that's only part of the program that we've been put into because I think that when a human is fully online with their potential and their power, I don't think that they need food or water either. They could live off
Mm,
light, prana, breath. The only thing they're going to need is light and breath. Yeah.
that is interesting.
Hmm. Yeah.
Mm,
And I think that too, if you were able to sustain through that practice and make a transfer, over time, eventually the density of your body would probably change because the vibration would change and therefore the materium would start to express itself differently. And that might be where you start seeing more lighter bodies, people that are like almost becoming like see-through, because they would be so light, they would be less dense. Mhm.
mm.
That could be what Lemuria was. The bodies weren't fully physical yet. Many of them were still vibrating in such a high level. They were still more etheric bodies rather than flesh body, but they had a physical form.
Hmm.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
Scotty Boy is a crazy person. He says
That
even
11.
even the here it is. No, it's not it. It's this one. This one. Even the demons were like, was it crazy, man? I lost it. There is.
Yeah, even demons were a soul of love at one point.
e-
You know, that is possible. But the thing about that, Scotty, many of these demons, they don't want to be better. They don't want to go back to love. They really don't want to. And you can't force your will on any other being. That's going to be a problem for you. So, we've got and part of the coming into here and saying, okay, if you're going to play the bad guy part, this might be your consequence. But you're going to learn so much from being the bad guy versus than being the good guy. So, a lot of them are going to sign up for that because that is going to be a very big part of their their experience of what they want to experience. And a lot of people, you know, they have such a need to be physically rewarded in this world that they'll make contracts with beings that know how to utilize their energy and feed off them through contract. So I've been looking at a lot of this stuff lately, and it's like, how do we become sovereign over our own being? And, you know, the first thing I would like, you got to work on acknowledging and make sure it's heard, felt, and understood, and especially, you know, believed in your own being, is that I wonder if the way out of all of this stuff, especially when you die and they're trying to pull you into the different light tunnels and come here and come there, I wonder if they can't get through any of it as long as you understand that, no, I'm not going anywhere with you because I am a sovereign being and I am going back to my original prime real body. And through that, I am going to be telling all of you that every single contract that I made, knowing, unknowing, or any agreements that I made, contracts or agreements, are null and void due to the amnesia.
Interesting.
You can't have somebody who's in coma remember what they've done.
Hmm.
And basically that's what we are. We're sleeping. So, you know, amnesia. This is amnesia. You come in here, you get a mind wipe. So with that, you know, probably when you leave, there's probably another mind wipe included. That's how you could take on a new body and a new life and not carry a bunch of the other stuff through so bad to where it would make you not stable in this reality. I mean, we can work on reconnecting those memories and have success with that, but we're not bombarded with however many lifetimes we've already lived when we're like a baby 1 year old trying to figure out this world. You know, I think that would be hard.
So, do you think there's three types of people here right now? People that don't know about the patterns and are neutral. Then you have people that know about the patterns and trying to break the patterns. Then you have people that know the patterns but want to keep the patterns
I control them.
intact because
Yeah.
with that pattern they have control.
Yeah. I think it's just like how our original body complex works. You know, you've got your mental part of your body, and then you've got the heart consciousness of the body, and then you've got the gut instinct, the gut part of the consciousness. So within just that part, the mind, heart, gut connection, you got three different layers and levels of personality construct, personality information, identity, function, all those in three different positions just within that. Now you look at the zodiac wheel. Okay. You got 12 archonic demons running that. And then you look outside of that, you've got 88 constellations surrounding the 12 zodiac wheel. Isn't that funny? I wonder if that's the gate out of time. You had to get through the 88 constellations, which is the next ring. You see what I'm saying? So these are all wheels, they're all patterns, and they're all information bands of code and information. And I'm literally thinking we're going to figure a way to get out of this if those who want to. Some people want to stay in the earth, life, death thing for a long time. And that's okay. Yeah, that's okay.
But I'm also afraid there might be a fourth or a fifth, also a fourth where they see people who want to break the pattern, but they want to modify the pattern for their own benefit, where they're kind of working with those who are stuck with the pattern.
Yeah.
See people like us who want to break the pattern, but they
Mhm.
don't want our pattern. They want their own, so they want to make it even worse. And then the fifth one who just wants none of it, wants to erase the whole system and start all, just dump it all,
Mhm.
which is probably they're probably the most scary because they just want to get rid of everything and just clear the whole thing.
Yeah.
But I think
When
that's
I
the
was
end
3
result.
years old, I was talking to God. I said, you know, just blow the whole thing up. This place is stupid. So I get that.
Um,
Yeah,
I've met beings like that. They're like, this is just ridiculous.
it is totally stupid. Like, get rid of
Mhm.
it. Pop. Yep.
And they're,
Mhm.
yeah, oh boy, some of those beings are absolutely, they're just incomprehensible, and
Mhm.
they just sit there. I mean, whew, yeah, the
Mhm.
patterns are oh, there's a lot to this. That's a problem. When
Mhm.
there's following the pattern, there's breaking the pattern, and there's the other ones. You
Yes.
know, some want to
It's
stick in the
huge.
pattern. Yeah,
Like I said, the breaking out of the consciousness that you were, kind of enveloped into through an amnesia process and a mind wipe, and learning all over again everything about a reality and a world and how it works and operates. It's a pretty big challenge. And I wonder if, a lot of people are super excited to do that, because when you're one with all knowledge, there would be nothing for you to learn. So I understand a purpose for amnesia, for
yeah,
growth and learning, but I think that was made for us as a benevolent, helpful learning tool to simulate existences, to learn from those of what to do and not to do, so there aren't heavy consequences in the real world. And then I wonder, though, if the simulation got taken over and that information code and projection was dropped down in vibration and it got turned into a death entropy system where you're kind of just in a eternal loop because you can't remember how to get out. And that's how they got to feed off of you, because you got stuck in the loop and you can't get out of that infinity gate. You can't get your way out of that loop.
Mhm.
Mhm.
oh,
Yeah.
hmm,
Mhm. Yeah.
hmm.
I was hearing this girl talking about the other day on Jeff Mara, and she claims that she had a near death experience, and they showed her that she's a seraphim, and she incarnated in a human body, but as a seraphim. And man, so many people in the comments were brutal. They're like, "You're not no angel," like blah 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 blah. I'm like, I wish people wouldn't cast judgment so fast and furiously, because we all are not human. We're all spiritual beings enjoying a human experience in a human body, but that's only temporary. And you existed before your physical body. So, with that, how would you know what you were and how many things you've been potentially? You don't know if somebody's an angel or if they're part reptilian, or, you know, I wish people would have more of an open mind to the potentials, that just because it looks like a human doesn't mean it is one. In from what we would assume a human to be. You know what I mean? Because if you told somebody, oh, there's some people walking around that are reptiles, they would say, no, they're not. You're crazy, because they don't understand it. But it doesn't make it not true. It doesn't matter. It doesn't matter if they believe it or not. It still exists. So
That's the truth.
for people to say, "Oh, that she's not an angel," or blah 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 blah, I'm like, you might be called fool later on. You never know. We'll see, but you might be. But yeah, she was talking about too. She saw the people in the pods,
Oh,
and I don't know many people that have seen that, and I was really like, "Wow, that's very interesting." You saw it too,
hmm.
and she got a tour of the whole facility, and there's levels. And you go to sleep in different levels according to what you understand and know. I thought that was very interesting. I didn't know about that part. I was like, huh. So, what if all of this is finding your original organic self? Because that way you get to choose if you're still sleeping.
Yeah, that's interesting. Finding your original organic self.
Find your first body that's projecting all the different fractals and all the different timelines and all the different realities. It's all streaming from one source, one original prime body, which is sleeping.
Yeah,
So,
yeah.
wake up the sleeper. Go find your body, find your sleeper, and wake it up. And when I kind of figured that out, that's when I had the whole metaphor dream of cutting myself out of that serpent.
Mhm.
And when I did that, like I went and charged at that snake, like I knew this was an initiation. I knew this was a very important test. And I was like, I am not going to let fear stop me. And I went after it and cut that sleeping twin out of this 30-foot long snake and yelled at the Lord and said, take this back where it needs to go and fix it. Because I knew it was broken and I couldn't wake it up. I'm like, you fix this now. And then when I did that, that was when I heard, my child, you now have been set free from the watery grave, which is a tomb or a pod of which you slept. My child, you now have been freed from the bondage of the serpent. This is this Ouroboros. This is the serpent system. And that includes the 88 constellations that surround our primary 12.
Mm-hmm.
So I wonder if that's the whole key. Don't get sucked back into, oh, come and see your family, and oh, come here, and oh, come there. Say, bitch, prime body, take me to my sleeper. Take me to my sleeper. That's the only place I'm going. And I don't need you to get there anywhere because I'm projecting this body from that body. And I'm sure I can find it through the thread. I'll find it myself. Thank you very much. But that's what I'm doing. I know that that's part of what I'm going to explore as soon as my physical body has a problem. I'm going to find my real body.
Mm.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, there's a lot. Yes. Yes. But that's all through meditation and sleep.
Yeah.
Mm.
And or death.
Well, death. Death is the final, but
Yeah.
the death is just a one-time option where you have one chance to get out of this matrix after death. While meditation and sleep, at least you can practice getting out. But once you're dead, you got one chance to get out of this insanity.
Mm-hmm.
But
Yeah.
that's what meditation and sleeping is for, to practice it, and that's I have no.
But some people die and then they come back and then they have all that information, and then they're sharing it with us here. So sometimes you die just so you can come back and tell people what you need to tell them. So I think there's options with death too. Because we do have so many people that have had NDEs.
Oh, the NDE thing, yes.
They died and then they come back and then die. Yeah, but they never stayed. So you don't know if the story changes once you stay. People only know the preview of what's really going on. Because I think that's all a bunch of snow for the most part of it. Yeah, because the base reality, I think here is all mechanical. I could be wrong, but none of it feels authentically life living real source vibration or geometry. It's all copies and all a construct that has been captured and filled with parasites and viruses, like an infected computer.
Interesting.
Yep.
And that's the future of pharmaceuticals, is they're going to go with viral vectors. That's going to be fun.
Right. And yeah, that's going to be a whole new level of how to get out. Once you get into that, it's going to be really difficult. If it's possible. I think that there's only certain times in these great cycles where you have the opportunity to get out. And it is only when you're at these levels of consciousness where they hit that reset button. And the reason they're doing that is because the threat is too high. They have to get rid of a lot of the people. So they've been saying we're in the big, push the red button. So obviously our consciousness has hit that threshold. So many will be finding their way. And that's taking away their food and their profit. And, if you're not sick and dying, they don't get your money. So.
Right.
Yeah.
Interesting.
Yeah. It's just a replication station from what I've been shown. And that's what a serpent does. It replicates. You can cut off its tail and it'll grow back. It just replicates.
Hmm.
Yeah.
Whew, we have a lot to digest this week. And how do we sum this up? Well, I guess the pattern's always there, and you just have to be aware of it. And once you're aware of the pattern, you can break it. And that's it. I think that's it. It's a good summary. To become aware of the pattern and break it. And if you can only we can break it in small because breaking patterns can be challenging, can be scary. So you can do it in little pieces and break it little by little. But yeah, that's what media and the government wants us in the pattern, but we don't have to accept it.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yep.
Patterns make you predictable.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Time to be a little unpredictable. Yeah, and I don't think when people talk about the archons and all these different layers of these guard keepers, that are keeping you from going where you're potentially meant to go, but you've been stopped over and over and over again. It's all been done through your own agreement. They dangle the carrot and you take it. Being with the ability to potentially leave a system and potentially enter into a real system that's not based on replication and a projection and inversion and death and entropy. It might be as simple as holding on to no thank you. I know where I'm going, and that's back to my original prime body. And I'm going to wake my body up and remove it from this system. And through that, there's nothing you can do to stop me. Oh, karma. Oh, this. Oh, you need to go back. You need to do. No, all contracts, all agreements are null and void under amnesia. Period. I can be held accountable for nothing while under amnesia.
That's part of their deception.
Correct.
Because if you don't remember, you're easy to deceive.
Yeah, and say, oh, you got to go back and do it better this time. Oh, come on. You know you want to.
Mm-hmm.
Yes, the obligation is part of the scam.
Right, and there is no
You have
obligation.
to. Yeah,
Especially
exactly.
because you don't know what you're doing here because you don't have your consciousness that you need to navigate effectively to make the highest and best outcomes and the best creative ideas. Man, they're doing everything they can to shut you down, make you sick, slam your consciousness. It's just ridiculous. So with that, you can't be expected to do anything well when they've hacked your brain and put you into amnesia.
Mm-hmm.
True.
Yeah. It's a fact. And you know why I know that's fact, Lucky? My whole life growing up, like I would get really frustrated and want to know how to do something, and then I'd do something really stupid and mess it all up, and I'd be like, oh God, I bet you're mad at me now, huh? And he'd laugh at me. And you know what he'd say every single time? Same phrase over and over again. My child, how could I be angry at you for not knowing how to tie your shoelaces? Because I got a very big anger problem thing at 3 with tying, or when I was 1 trying to tie my shoelaces. And that's when I realized I came here to do everything on my own. If somebody else does it for you, it doesn't count. So I knew I had to do it myself. And that's hard when you're little and you're wanting to do things your body can't do yet. It's very frustrating. So I got really mad about all that, knowing I needed to do it, knowing I was going to graduate, knowing all this stuff. And it's like, there is no needing to do it better. There is no needing to make right for the wrongs. This is all an experience that you're having, like a dream, a lucid dream that you really don't have a lot of control over because you're literally in amnesia. You're in a coma, in a tube of water, in a distant location, projecting this reality. So, no fault. Only if you believe the lie of you're at fault, will you believe it, and the guilt and all that will get you to do things maybe you don't want to do. But a lot of people want to come right back, and that's they want to do that. So yay. But for me, I've been really frustrated and angry at the way this place was running since I was old enough to even be able to speak it.
Mhm, mhm.
I like, just blow this stupid place up. I know you can make a new one. You know, I knew that. I had no fear at 3. I was like, dude, get rid of it. Just make a new one. This one's got like a sickness. You know, and that's what I tell I'm like, this place got like a sickness. It's broken and it's not, it doesn't work right no more. You need to make a new one. Just get rid of it. Make a new one. That was my idea. Just blow it up.
Interesting.
Yeah, I knew at 3. Something happened to this world and it was wrong now. And I knew it was like it was sick, like it had a problem. And then we need to just fix it or just pop, go away. And then when I'm 10, they showed me the world bifurcating and he popped one world, the old world, and then the new world. He manifested a new world. Just like I said, just blow it up and make up a new one. At 10 years old, I got shown that that is going to be a reality. But which earth do you go on? You're going to get trapped in your pattern or you're going to break free
Oh yeah.
and know who you are and know where you're going and know what your destination is. Because if you don't, I think you're going to get tricked back into another round. So, and it looks to me like the game's kicking it up a notch. It might be a lot harder. Or we might be at the highest level of where they allow the consciousness until they flat wipe it out again. And we might be getting ready for something like that. Because the threat's too high to lose all their food. So
Yeah. We are their energy source, their food source. Yeah.
yeah, they farm us for sure.
Yes.
Yeah.
The Red Enigma,
Mhm.
I have this problem so often. My button-up shirt always ends up lopsided. Yeah, that's because my mind tends to be in other things while I get dressed and don't pay attention to where the buttons go. And and I'm like, how to do that? It's not every time, but it's enough so I get frustrated that
Yeah.
I gotta pay. It doesn't take much more than a couple minutes to put the buttons in right, but no, I don't. I just keep going. But yeah, I think that's the problem with us is that we have so much on our minds, just so much, and it's not stress related. It's not have to. It's just the enjoyment of thought experiments is a thought, just to see what can this create, and go from there. Interesting.
Mhm.
Hmm.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yep. Okay. It's been an hour and a half, or hour and 27 minutes. In a half an hour, I do know that um, Truth Wave is on. His meditation's on very soon, and I don't think Milky Way Soul Tribe is on tonight. I saw Robert, but
Okay.
I'm not sure. I don't know. I didn't see that he has a sub tonight. So or stub whatever. But we still have Victor with Truth Wave. He's on in about half an hour. Um, and then okay, and also in another 25 hours will be Nuestra Tabla Rasa, which is about the government and religion, and do we really need the authority? That's going to be an interesting topic.
Oh yeah,
Oh,
that'd be great.
Robert, you are on tonight. Okay, in half an hour, Robert V
Oh,
and his Milky
and
Way Soul
Nina,
Tribe will be on.
right on.
Yeah, in 15 minutes will be Truth Wave. What's the dog's name? Chloe. Victor Truth Wave. The dog name is Chloe, and I paid attention. It's half Yorkie, half Lhasa.
Shih Tzu.
Shih
Yeah.
Tzu. I was so
Yeah.
close.
She's a Shorkie.
Shorky. Why can't
Yep.
I? Yeah, yes.
Shih Tzu Yorkie. Yep. She's a sweet baby. I
Oh,
adopted her at 9 years old.
and
She
Max
needed a new
9.
home.
That dog's 9. That dog looks
Yeah, her
phenomenal for
mama
9.
passed away of cancer and
Ooh,
she needed a home. And I'm so grateful I got her. She's a love,
oh yeah,
absolute little joy.
9. That's oh boy.
Yeah. Yeah, she's wonderful.
How long have you had her?
About 3 months. Yeah.
3 months.
Yeah.
This is the transition phase, but yeah, dogs
Yeah.
and it
It
takes a
was a
little
little
while for them.
rough in the beginning. It really was. You know, she was grieving and the
Mhm.
changes and
That's
yeah, there
uh,
was just a lot going on and yeah.
dogs like
Yeah.
their societies. When you change it, it gets kind of. But she seems to be dressing well. That's awesome. That's always
She
great with dogs.
really is. Yeah. Yeah. She's finally like, she's like, okay, new mom, new house. I'm okay now. Yeah. She's
Yep.
finally good. Yeah. You are a good girl, huh? Yes, you are. Oh, she's
So,
begging at me.
yeah, wonderful, wonderful,
Oh, you the baby. Okay, honey girl.
awesome, awesome. So everyone, have a wonderful week. Have a wonderful night. Have a wonderful weekend. Have a, whatever. And if you watch this and you're frustrated with me, put it in the comments. I will answer it and probably come up with something that I'll respond and Bob be confused and we get a nice conversation. But that's the fun thing about YouTube is we can do anything we want as long as we don't violate their terms of service, which I don't do. So just go out there, have fun, be good to each other, be good to yourself, and most importantly, whenever you do, what's next?